Hey guys, welcome. I had a question about a past video that I had made about the Lee turret press versus 550BL. The person wanted to know more of a comparison and what is the difference. Okay, the difference is the Lee is inexpensive and the Dillon is a little bit more expensive. But the benefits to one over the other are enough that I would say if you're going to purchase one, go ahead and get the Dillion 550BL. Now they do have the 550C that has a little bit more bells and whistles, but if you're wanting to compare apples to apples, these are pretty close. I could add a powder measure to my Dillion 550BL, which is the basic model, like I have on the Lee. I just choose not to at this point. Okay, the thing about the Lee is you have one shell holder, okay? You have one shell holder, and you have a set of dies, like on a turret type motion. The turret turns, if you have your bar adjusted right, per each stage. So you add one shell, resize it, then you want to flare and add powder, then you want to seat the bullet, then you want to crimp the bullet, and then you can take the bullet off. Okay? We're going to move down here. Now on the Dillion 550BL, it's very similar. You add a shell, okay? Resize, prime, okay? Flare. The only difference is when I use this particular machine, I go and I add my powder through a powder measure. Then I seat and crimp and it ejects. Okay, on this one, you can only use one shell at a time or one cartridge at a time. So when you complete it, you go through 4 rounds and then a completed bullet falls out. On this one, I use it in the same fashion. I'll just demonstrate. Okay, so I put it in a case, I resize it, add the primer. Okay, this does have a priming system that you can add to it, but on the BL model, which is just the basic model, it does not have that. Okay, on the Lee, I have to add the primers by hand. I don't mind doing them on my Dillion. Okay. Then I flare the case, add the powder, add the bullet, seat, crimp. Basically, it's the same thing. So I could use this particular machine the exact same way that I do my Lee. Now the difference is on here, I can actually do 2 at a time. You can do 4 at a time, but when you do 4 at a time, the system becomes a lot. There's a lot to it. You have to add a case, you have to add a primer, you have to add the powder, you have to add the bullet. It's a lot of process. Okay, I do it at 2 at a time. Works great for me. So this is single. I can do 2 on that one. So it's a little bit more production. Also on this particular version, on the Lee, the head moves, okay? Some people say, well, you don't want your bench to move because it can cause differences in bullets. Well, I'm telling you, if your bench is wobbly and moves around, it's really not going to make that much difference. It's going to be annoying. I mean, every time you pull the handle, the bench moves around. It's annoying, but it does not make a difference because what happens when you take the case and you put it up into the die, everything meshes at that point. Everything here becomes hard. When this becomes hard, it doesn't matter what else is moving. You actually have a hand system by Lee where you can load all your bullets. It's very inexpensive. So when people say they can't afford to reload, you can go get that set up for like 50 bucks and you can load them by hand. Well, that one's always moving. So if that one's always moving, what difference does it matter whether your bench is moving? Just a little bit. Now it can be annoying, like I said. But here, when you put the cartridge or the case up into the dies, it meshes. It makes it hard. So even though this is moving around, and you can probably hear it on camera, it really doesn't matter that much whenever you add the case to it. Now, the Lee system is inexpensive. For the price, you cannot beat Lee, period. Hands down, I recommend Lee if you're just getting started, but start out with the single stage because you can never go wrong with the single stage, okay? Now, personally, if you're going to buy one press, it's always going to be the Redding T7 for me, all right? But you put it in there, it's a little wobbly, a little less consistent, if you will, but not enough to make any difference. Okay, on the Dillon, the top doesn't move. Okay, you see when I move this, the whole bench shakes. Okay, it doesn't move. It stays consistent. The only thing that moves is the base. Okay, so therefore, I feel that I can get better consistent bullets on it. Now on that, you can, but the difference is so minute, it really doesn't matter, especially with pistol cases. Now, if I was going to do rifle, I've done rifle on my Lee turret press, shot great. I've done rifle on my Dillon 550 BL, does great. But I prefer to use my Redding when I'm reloading rifle. Now, if I'm reloading a lot of cases like 223 or 308, I will run them through my Dillon because it is a little faster, okay? But that's the main differences. Is this one's more inexpensive. You can do one at a time. It's a little more play in the system, if you will, okay? It could create just a little bit difference in your bullet seating, overall case length, blah, 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 because it has a little bit more play. But when you put the case in there, you put the shell in there, it locks it up where it's consistent. And the same thing on here. Now, what would I recommend? If I was going to get one or the other, once again, it would be the Dillon system. It's just a little bit Dillon system for a little bit more money. Now, when you add the case heaters and all that, it could go up in price, but it's not enough. But I like the Lee because I have a thing where I like my stuff to be kind of the same. So I load my Lee cast bullets on my Lee press. As you can see, I have a bunch of different heads up here, all set up, ready to go. Simple to do. On my Dillon 550, I have my 45 ACP and my 40. And on my Dillon 650, I have 2 tops of 9mm that I load on it. Okay, I have done 223 and 308 on my Dillon 550. I took those off because I only have one set of dies for those. And I use those on my Redding press. There is some minor differences between the two. They basically are the same. This one's a little bit more robust, a little bit, it's going to last you ever. Dillon comes with the lifetime unconditional no BS guarantee, where I think the Lee only has a two-year warranty. They both work great. What I would recommend would be the Dillon 550 BL or the 550C if you want a little bit more production, but the Lee does just fine. So that's all, it's all personal choice. But the Lee is, like I said, not as made as well as the Dillon. Of course, I got Redding dies on my Dillon. You're nowhere going to get the consistency of a Lee die as you will off a Redding die. Truth be told, but Lee does a great job for what you get. I mean, don't look down on Lee. The price is great, price is right, the work great. If you're just getting me into the reloading and you don't know if it's going to be something you want to do, go with the Lee. But if you want to step up to the next model, a model that you can be proud to own, a model that's going to last for years, the model that's going to work great forever, go with the Lee. I mean the Dillon. You can try the 550BL or you can just step up at the 550C. I like my 550BL. It does a lot, does what I want it to do. It does exactly the reason why I bought it. Okay, it lets me load cartridges at a faster rate, but I can still enjoy the process reloading. See, a lot of people, we get in this thing where we're trying to make as much ammo as we can make as fast as we can, and we all lose sight of the fact that reloading is about the reloading. It's about the process, about the steps involved, just about enjoying the time, you know, in the shop, having a hobby that you enjoy, and then go out and shoot them. Because a lot of this, you know, the shooting is important too. That's why I run them off my Dillons. But a lot of times I will just sit down at the bench. I'll put in a single stage press. I will go back to the bowl and the dippers, which I have 2 sets of dippers, or I'll throw them on a trickle machine and trickle them in and do it that way because I get enjoyment out of all it. The reloading process is very enjoyable to me. All right, I hope that answers the question a little better. You can't go wrong with either one, personally. Dillon, because it's more robust. It has less play and less movement. Here, 1 shell. There, I can do 2. Technically, on the Dillon, I can do 4, but I would not recommend that. All right. I hope that answers all your questions. There's a video today. I appreciate y'all watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, ask below. I like doing question and answer videos because a lot of those I can actually teach people certain things that they might not know or understand. A lot of this reloading I've done for so long, I just take for granted what I do. And I load for so many different calibers and so many different bullet types, if you will, that I have my pet loads and I just rerun those. I don't really do much testing anymore. I mean, I do have some bullets up here to test for 223 and 308 and 300 blackout, but I have my pet loads. I go to those pet loads and I just keep reloading those pet loads because I know they work and I know they're fun to shoot. And that's what this hobby is about, is just enjoying the reloading process, enjoying the time at the range. All right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks.